Hello, this is Nicholas Junker, and this is my public service announcement for USD 109 Republic County regarding special education and parents' rights. Knowing what are my rights as a parent of a special education student at Republic County. I'm going to start you off with a quote today from an opinion from the Supreme Court. The liberty interest of parents in the care, custody, and control of their children is perhaps the oldest of the fundamental liberty interests recognized by the court. This court case in the year 2000 highlighted that your role as a parent, raising and participating in your child's academic process, is one of the most important things that you can do as a parent. So just a few of the things that we're going to look at today and cover briefly are parent participation, definition of parent, parent rights and special education notice, prior written notice, parental consent requested but not provided, notice of IEP meetings, and your student's rights at the age of 18. One of the things we find most important here at Republic County High School, especially in the special education department, is that you are an active participant in your child's educational process. You will become an important part of the decision-making team. You will help with identifying and understanding if your child is eligible for services. You'll be part of the initial evaluation process and successive reevaluations. And then you will be part of the team that helps develop the individualized education program, so that way we can make sure that your student, if necessary, is receiving the appropriate modifications and accommodations so that way they can be successful in the education setting. We feel that you are the one who knows your child best, so you can best help meet your child's needs. You'll also be a very big part, after we have developed your student's IEP, to be part of those exceptionality meetings. Your IEP meetings, we will expect active participation, and if there's something that you need or don't understand or don't know, we can help you help you with those things. If you have language needs, you're hearing impaired, if you need to meet separately or in a different type of setting or via Zoom call, whatever you need, we will help you become an active participant in your child's educational experience. So looking at what Kansas State Department of Education defines as a parent are the following. One is a natural or biological parent. 2 is an adoptive parent. 3 is a person acting as a parent, which is a grandparent, step-parent, or other relative with whom a child lives, or a person other than the parent who is legally responsible for the welfare of the child. 4, a legal guardian. 5, a officially appointed educational advocate, or a foster parent, if that foster parent has been appointed the educational advocate of an exceptional child. The reason we have to define what a parent is or define who a parent is those individuals are able to give consent for services, and that's an important piece of special education law. So we're continuing our trek on parents' rights, and part of your parents' rights is getting your special education notices. You will receive your rights in writing at least once per school year. You can receive them also upon a referral or parent request. Also, if there is an issue or a problem or a challenge in your student's life and a complaint has been filed, or in a due process complaint, you will also then receive a copy of your rights. Then upon a disciplinary removal from school that constitutes a change in your student's services, you will also receive a set of parents' rights. And then also, if you would just like to request them, we would provide those for you. So another aspect of your rights is prior written notice. What we have to do whenever we're doing anything with your child and we're participating in this process, if we're making modifications or changes, we have to give you prior written notice. The final usual day number is 15 days. So before we do any kind of change of anything, we have to give you 15 days. So here are some of the examples that it gives you. Provision of SPED and related services, educational placement, specific evaluation, identification for new services. All of those things we have to give you 15 days before we make any changes or any thoughts about changing those things. Whenever we do that, whenever we provide prior written notice, when we're engaging in any of those 4 topics up above, is we have to highlight what's in the pink in each of those notices. So we have to put what is going to be changed, what's not going to be changed. We're going to have to put why we changed it or why we decided not to change it. We're going to put our reasoning, either data or our tool that we used for reasoning to provide that change. We're going to put and understand why we did not choose other options as it relates to our situation. And then we're also going to, as we have in other situations, we're going to give you a list of your rights under the law as we have in the past. One of the most important things about special education for your child and what you have to be really informed about is that you are expected to give consent whenever there is a plan in place or whenever there are changes or alterations to your student services. And that is a voluntary thing that you do, and that can also be revoked at any point in time. So when we send out a consent form, or we give you a consent form, it's going to have all the details, all the services, all the modifications, all of the things that we're giving your child to help them become more successful. When we send out that consent, we want to make sure that you understand and you know and agree in writing that you know that we are giving this to your child. You also understand that you're granted consent and that we are going to be giving those services to your child, and you are doing so voluntarily. And we want to make sure that you know if you don't like the services or you don't think they're effective, that they can be revoked. So here are just some of the list of items that need parental consent. And you can kind of see a few of those. There's a few that I'm going to first talk about. First is the initial evaluation. That's the biggest piece that sometimes there's struggles or challenges with, highlighting that, hey, we need to have your support and consent to evaluate your child. Others specifically that are something that we like to highlight are changes in placement or changes in services. Throughout your child's experience in special education, there will be times where there may need to be amendments or modifications to your student's IEP, and we will need to have your consent through those. But in our IEP meetings, in our exceptionality meetings, we would be having those conversations with you, and so you would be definitely aware of those before we require consent. And so when we provide consent, and we're providing consent, we want to make sure that we receive that consent from you in writing, that you have received and understood and know and are agreeing to those services. But if we provide the way in which that we can provide you common communication for services, if you do not respond to those, that response is then consent. We will give 2 contacts with 2 different methods, and if we do not receive that, we will then go on with the appropriate deemed accommodations and modifications that we can go forward with. One of the final ones here we have is a notice of an IEP team meeting. As I said before, at Republic County High School, we would like you to be an active member of our IEP and student community. And so we want to make sure that you understand what your role is, and part of that role is you're involved in attending IEP meetings. We will send out notices to you at least 10 days ahead of time that have the purpose, date, location, who is attending. Then once your child becomes 14 years of age and older, they will be able to come to the meetings. We will start to begin having those conversations about what they're going to do after high school, talk about post-secondary, and then we can also invite other agencies with consent that may have some insight into some of those transition pieces. And then as a parent, you have the opportunity to invite experts or Part C coordinators if you feel relevant for that need for your child. So finally, when your student turns 18 years of age, they will have all the rights and responsibilities under special education law. When they turn 17, they will be informed that at 18 years of age, they themselves will be responsible for their educational experience in IEP. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't or cannot be involved. Schools can invite, and traditionally we have done so. Once you turn 18, schools have invited, and students can also invite parents to their IEP, but it is not required of us to do so. But typically we would send out both notifications to parents and students. And we want to make sure we have the most positive experience for our special education students at Republic County so they can transition into great adults and be participants in our community. We want to thank you for listening to our public service announcements to be informed, engaged, and buff proud. Thank you.